Pope Francis addresses the United Nations General Assembly. In our Music Maker segment, a blend of traditional Luo, Afrofusion, and jazz. And a tribute to the wit and wisdom of one of the most beloved players in baseball history. Africa 54 starts right now. Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Well, America's largest city is electric at the presence of Pope Francis. The pontiff received a warm welcome before addressing world leaders at the United Nations headquarters in New York Friday morning, calling for international action and cooperation to combat climate change, poverty, and to help refugees fleeing conflict and persecution. The 78-year-old leader of the Roman Catholic Church also reiterated his belief that wealthy nations have a moral obligation to aid their vulnerable, disadvantaged members of society.
I must renew my repeated appeals regarding the painful situation of the entire Middle East, North Africa, and other African countries, where Christians, together with other cultural or ethnic groups, and even members of the majority religion who have no desire to be caught up in hatred and folly, have been forced to witness the destruction of the places of worship, their cultural and religious heritage, their houses and property, and have faced the alternative either of fleeing or of paying for their adhesion to good and to peace by their own lives or by enslavement.
Well, a strong believer in climate change, Pope Francis says more has to be done to protect the environment.
Para todas las creencias religiosas,
in all religions, the environment is a fundamental good.
The
misuse and destruction of the environment are also accompanied by a relentless process of exclusion. In effect, a selfish and boundless thirst for power and material prosperity leads both to the misuse of available natural resources and to the exclusion of the weak.
Well, for more on the pontiff's address at the United Nations, we go live to VOA's Margaret Bashir, who's standing by at the UN. Hello, Margaret.
Hello, Vincent.
Yeah, what a day it was there. Can you give us a sense of how it felt like inside the UN building?
Yeah, what a busy day. It started before sunrise when the UN raised the Vatican flag for the very first time, just at daybreak today. And the pontiff arrived here in his little black Fiat and was welcomed by several hundred UN staffers in the lobby. And in fact, they participated in a lottery in order to be selected to be there to welcome him. Over almost 5,000 staff members entered the lottery, and only about 500 were able to be in the lobby because they didn't have enough space.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah, it was very competitive.
Yeah.
People were excited. They were talking, I got a ticket, I got a ticket. You know, people were very excited about it.
That was like winning a lottery. Now, question, Margaret. You know, the Pope spoke about things that people expected him to speak, and we know this is only the fifth Pope to visit the UN General Assembly. What was significant about this? What makes him speaking about those things at the UN different and unique?
Well, actually, he's only the fourth pope to visit. We had 2 visits from John Paul II, so that gives us 5 papal visits, but 2 from the same pope. I think he's very different. I was here in 2008 when Pope Benedict came, and it wasn't at all the same sort of excitement that we felt today. Really, I mean, for weeks now, people have been excited. And I think it's because this pope is much more, as they keep saying, a people's pontiff. He relates so much with the poor and with the middle classes, whereas Benedict was more of a theologian. He was much more academic and cerebral, so he didn't quite connect with the everyday man on the street, so to speak. So Francis has really gotten a lot of enthusiasm, and especially here at the UN, because think about it. Think about all the issues that he talks about: climate change, poverty, you know, fighting social injustices, human rights. These are all issues that the UN deals with every day. And so the staff here really can feel a connection with him, I think, that he's somebody who is advocating for these issues. Even the Secretary General said the other day, I count on his leadership. So it's, there's a real connection, I think, between this Pope and the UN.
And I was talking about the streets. It did actually hit the streets soon after leaving the UN building. What are some of the events that he's participating in today?
Well, he left the UN at around 11 o'clock local time and went straight to Ground Zero, the site of the September 11, 2001 attacks, where they have a memorial. He specifically asked to visit that. It wasn't on his schedule. He made it his express wish to go there. And he's also going to say Mass tonight at a large indoor arena for, I think, about 20,000 people. And he's going to pass through New York's Central Park. And about 80,000 people have gotten tickets just to line the route of his convoy, of his motorcade. So people in New York are very excited. There are about 5.5 million Catholics, Roman Catholics, in New York City. So I think that he's going to have a huge turnout today wherever he goes.
Well, the rest of the world leaders start addressing the UN General Assembly next week. Did he take the thunder out of all the events of next week?
No, I think he was a great way to sort of kick them off. And he also encouraged a bit of reflection, and, you know, maybe leaders will think about it. He, you know, talked about the Middle East as you played that clip. He also named several conflicts in particular. He mentioned South Sudan. He mentioned the Great Lakes region, Syria, Ukraine, Libya, Yemen. You know, he wants the Security Council basically to overcome their differences on some of these issues. He sort of said those who are in charge of international relations should, you know, act beyond their partisan interests. So I think that was a little bit of a swipe at the Security Council. So let's see if this re-energizes this year's UNGA. Okay,
Margaret, thank you very much for your reporting there. VOA's UN correspondent Margaret Bashir reporting live from New York. Now over to Europe. Still staying in New York, select students from Catholic schools across New York City are poised to meet, greet, and even sing for Pope Francis during his visit to Our Lady Queen of Angels, an elementary school in East Harlem with a socio-economically and culturally diverse student population. VOA's Ramon Taylor has more.
These lucky 3rd and 4th graders are rehearsing for the big event. They were selected by lottery to meet the Pope and sing a song for him called The Prayer of St. Francis. They all think he's cool.
He has Twitter.
And say he is a caring person.
He loves everybody. He cares about the poor, and he doesn't care if the poor are bad. He finds a way to get money to give to them.
The students will meet Francis at Our Lady Queen of Angels, an elementary school in East Harlem that serves a predominantly minority student population, 70% Hispanic, 22% African American. 69% of them qualify for need-based scholarships. The Pope will visit the school because of his desire to focus on underserved immigrant families and assess inner-city Catholic education. For participating schools, the visit is an opportunity to reinforce their mission.
Our Catholic schools welcome students of every background, every religious background, and form them as daughters and sons of God who make a difference in our world and make the world a better place.
12 high school seniors were also selected on merit to meet with the pontiff. They say it's an opportunity to thank him for reaching out to their generation.
He's trying to help modernize the church, which is great because we're growing up in our society where things are a bit different than the church.
He's sort of making it cool again to be religious. You know, he's very accepting of multiple groups. He has a lot of liberal views.
Daniel, like many of his peers, says Pope Francis is inspiring. In his words, a breath of fresh air, not only for Catholicism, but religion in general. Ramon Taylor, VOA News, New York.
Welcome back. The Muslim world continues to mourn as nations scramble to determine how many of their citizens are among the more than 700 pilgrims who died in a stampede on the outskirts of the Muslim holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia on Thursday. And 863 more were injured. The stampede happened mid-morning in the city of Mina, about 3 miles from Mecca, which houses more than 160,000 tents where pilgrims spend the night during the pilgrimage. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims were taking part in the stoning of the devil, the last major rite of the Hajj. Al Jazeera TV quoted Saudi-owned Al Arabiya TV channel saying that the head of the Central Hajj Committee, Prince Khaled Al Faisal, blamed the stampede on some pilgrims from African nationalities. Stampedes during the Hajj are not unusual, but this accident was the deadliest disaster since 1990, when over 1,400 pilgrims were killed in a stampede. Now, in Niger, 15 people were killed when Boko Haram terrorists operating out of Nigeria raided a village across the border. Niger security sources say the overnight attack took place in the village of Gwangatoa in the Difa region near the West African nation's border with Nigeria as villagers celebrated Eid al-Adha, the Muslim festival of sacrifice. A regional offensive by Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon early this year drove Boko Haram from much of the territory it held in northern Nigeria, but the militants have since struck back with a renewed wave of deadly raids and suicide bombings. The latest attacks happened on the same day. The White House announced that it would provide up to $45 million to support African countries in their efforts to defeat Boko Haram. Now, the European Union's Mediterranean naval operation is set to enter the second phase of a mission against migrant traffickers beginning October the 7th. EU Foreign Affairs Chief Vincent Makori announced the decision, saying that the assets are ready. Mogherini says the European warships are operating against traffickers to search and, if necessary, divert suspicious vessels, but only in international waters. She also said the warships will not enter Libyan territory. The EU operation currently has 4 ships and several planes at its disposal. Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at VOA Vincent Makori. Well, coming up, one of Africa's greatest new age voices, Winyo. Stay with us.
This is BizBeat.
It's pretty much the best spot to have a tiny little staycation.
Mike Aikens is one satisfied customer, spending a night in New York City sleeping in a taxi. Every day, this van, a yellow taxi hotel outfitted with a bed, is cleaned, given new sheets, and fresh flowers by owner Jonathan Powley, a former stand-up comedian.
A lot of people come from Europe and Asia, and I love meeting people. I have people from Finland right now.
Powley started listing his taxi hotels for rent 6 months ago on the room-sharing site Airbnb. He has several of these 4-wheeled hotels, and they're all booked.
Yeah, my reviews are like 4.5 to 5 stars.
For now, Powley's business barely breaks even. But for $22 a night, his innovative accommodations on wheels are at least 10 times cheaper than any other rooms in the Big Apple. For VOA's BizBeat, I'm Olin Akasholu.
Welcome back. It's time for our Music Makers segment, and today we introduce you to a Kenyan singer, songwriter, and guitarist, Winyo. To tell us more about his music is VOA's Music Time in Africa host, Heather Maxwell, who recently returned from Kenya.
Yes.
You met this gentleman.
I did.
Yes.
I spent several days with him in the studio,
recorded him live and had a nice interview with him.
Yeah. You didn't just record him, but you also did more.
I did.
Yeah.
We did a song together.
Oh, great.
And I sang some in English, he sang some in Luo, and we sang together in Luo.
Yeah? That's
yeah,
amazing.
You're going to hear it. It'll be on his next album.
I can't wait to hear that.
Thank you.
But for now, we're going to play a song from his CD, which is Benga Blues, and the song is Odongo.
Yes.
It's a love song.
Yeah.
Let's see what he has.
Odongo yawa timbegi mora Odongo yawa asika leki Odongo yawa timbegi mora Odongo yawa asika leki pile pile asika leki pile pile waimakuia pile pile asika mani pile pile waimakuia Odongo yawa timbegi mora yawa sama chwako chai awero wendegi sama dia ora awero gendegi Odongo yawa kata mino abendo ye yawa Odongo yawa itago wia pile pile sikaleki pile pile waimakuia pile pile sikamani pile pile waimakuia
Beautiful. You know, that's the kind of music I thought was disappearing, the really true benga from the lakeside.
Well, you know, he says we know he's a contemporary benga artist.
Yes.
Which means he wants to really go back to those roots.
Yes.
But then he writes his own song, so that's the new part. But
it's beautiful, clean. It's just a love song, and you know, something you want to listen to all the time, especially in the evenings when you're just relaxing and having a cup of something.
I think you need this CD.
That's right.
Take that home
so
with
tell us a little bit more about, thank you very much for the CD. A little bit more about your trip there. You met not only Winyo, but you met a few other musicians.
I met several other musicians. Makadem, which we featured earlier, Bado, also Kidum, who is Burundian, but Kidum.
Burundian, but he's Kenyan.
Exactly. A few other groups. There's a Tanzanian artist that was on tour named Msafiri Zawose. He comes from a big family of traditional musicians from Tanzania. And others.
So they were in Nairobi to perform. They had a festival?
Yes, there was a small festival in Nairobi, and then the following week there's a big international festival in Kampala, Uganda, and they were all on their way there. So I hit it at a good time.
So this is a commitment. How did you get to sing with Winyo? and singing his language?
Well, he works in this studio called Kettlebell Music, and they just did some research and saw that I was a singer as well. And so they said, you know, can we just come in and just try something? And we just fit together, our voices, and we were able to just do something. And
yeah, I think you do blend. I kind of, when I remember your music, how you sing, something, you know, kind of, you can tell that you would easily work together. Amazing, but you know, you've just made a commitment that you're going to share all that great music with us, including where you perform.
Yes, I'll be happy to. I can't wait.
Great. Yeah. You know, thanks a lot, Heather. And, you know, as always, we'd like to see you back here next week.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank Heather for yet another fantastic Music Makers segment. Now, to learn more about the talented Heather Maxwell herself and her VOA radio show, visit Facebook and type in the keywords Music Time in Africa, and you can see what time her radio program can be heard in your area and get more information about some of our featured artists. Thanks. Well, it's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, remembering a beloved baseball legend. We'll be right back.
For so long, more than 2 decades, our economy was very informal.
Ouvrons les yeux dans les mosquées, ouvrons les yeux, ouvrons les yeux dans les bars, ouvrons les yeux, ouvrons les yeux dans les bus, ouvrons les yeux, ouvrons les yeux.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Rapper Kanye West says he's serious about running for U.S. president in 2020, but noted in an interview with Vanity Fair magazine that he has a lot of growing up to do before then. West said he planned to run for the White House in 2020 at the end of a rambling speech at the MTV Video Music Awards show in Los Angeles last month. Now, the declaration was largely seen as a joke, but asked whether he intended to go ahead, the singer said, "Oh, definitely." Well, supporters of West have already launched a political action committee in the hope he will run as a Republican. So far, the group has under 100 followers on Facebook and Twitter. Well, next up, a public school system in the southern United States has banned Snapchat from the school's Wi-Fi networks. Wake County, North Carolina public school officials have concluded that the popular app does not have instructional value. Wake also blocks other apps such as Facebook, Instagram, and some websites, but not Twitter. Students have started an online petition in hopes of getting service restored. The petition notes that Snapchat increases students' enjoyment and is a good way to share information. Well, and finally, meet the Bloodhound. That is the rocket car said to be capable of traveling 1,000 miles per hour, breaking the world land speed record. If all goes as planned, this car will cover a mile in just 3.6 seconds. It's a colossal engineering feat which requires a vehicle capable of producing 135,000 horsepower, over 6 times the power of all the Formula One cars on a starting grid put together. Now, the most difficult challenge was constructing wheels that will not self-destruct under the extreme pressures of the high speed. Now, while it's originally intended to be a purely rocket-powered vehicle, the decision was made to combine both jet and rocket technology to achieve the required power and control. And that is what is trending today. Well, it's time for a sports report, and for the latest news and notes, we turn to Sunny Young with us, Sunny's Side of Sports. Hello, Sunny.
Hello, Vincent, and sporty greetings once again to our Africa 54 viewers. The sunny side of sports remembers one of baseball's most loved and widely quoted players, Hall of Fame catcher Yogi Berra of the New York Yankees, who died this week at age 90. Yogi was loved for his skills on the baseball field and also for the goofy things he said off it. The stocky catcher was the cornerstone of the New York Yankees, one of the world's great sports clubs. An 18-time All-Star and 10-time World Series champion as a player, Yogi also won 3 League Most Valuable Player awards. Lawrence Peter Berra was born in St. Louis, Missouri. He got his nickname from a boyhood friend who said he looked like a Hindu yogi. Baseball's most famous yogi was also well known for his yogiisms, nutty sayings that left people smiling and shaking their heads, including, "It ain't over till it's over, and the future ain't what it used to be." Baseball and the sports world certainly ain't going to be the same without Yogi Berra. I'm VOA's Sonny Young, and that's the sunny side of sports. Vincent?
Well, thanks a lot, Sonny, and be sure to watch the sunny side of sports every Monday and Friday right here on Africa 54. Well, and that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. We'll leave you now with some of the sights and sounds of Pope Francis in America. Thanks for watching, and good night from all of us here in Washington.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge.
Music.
Alley.
On.
VOA.
qubanaha VOA waxaan ku soo gudbinnaa qubanayaal goosgoos ah oo xiiso badan oo ku saabsan arrimaha Soomaaliya, Maraykanka iyo caalamkaba.
haddaba qubanaha VOA-da kala soco website-keena voasomali.com.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report.
I'm Milar Sega. I'm the host of VOA's The Correspondents, a roundup of the world's top stories.
Here's a false choice in more ways than one.
We can't actually put you there, but we can come pretty close. In 30 minutes, we'll show you the world.